Hello, this is Adrian, and we're talking about being today. The idea of being, also known as ontology in academic circles, is the idea that you are a being, and within that being are the three parts of what life is made of: energy, frequency, and vibration. And when you take the rule of three, energy, frequency, and vibration, and you put it into the rule of three, then in the middle is information. All those three things contribute. It's like tuning forks that then tunes into a certain type of information, and that information is something that you will download. We'll get to that now. When you're born in theta state. You have 400 personality traits that you are born with already. And those personality traits will one day come forward when the circumstances and events happen that will activate that personality trait. Now, you're born with that, and it comes from 7 generations of history, all those traits are already built in. It's like bloatware, but you've got it. And it will come alive, and it will help you survive and direct your life so that you can function decently. So, as I said, you're born in theta state, you're a sponge. You basically take in all the frequency, energy, vibration, and information that comes from your parents and caregivers. If it is loving, if it is caring, if it's nurturing, if you have good food and all those things and good opportunities, then the child will develop the child will develop well. If you lack all those things, then by the age of 7, you have decided as a child of 7 who you are. Because by the age of 7, you've been programmed to see life in a certain way. Now, it might be accurate and it might be completely inaccurate because you have made decisions based on those things that you have been receiving or haven't been receiving. If you haven't been receiving any love, if it was traumatic, if it was abusive and so on, then a child is disconnected from its heart, and then it becomes a little monster. And it's very sad, but that's what happens, okay? So then the child grows up disconnected from their heart, and they live purely by instinct and by animal nature, which can be rather rough, for the rest of the world. And we know people like that. Okay, so now, as you grow up, your society has a certain number of beings, certain number of roles that it wants you to take up. Now, depending on where you are and who your society is, that collective consciousness in which you're living, there will be certain characteristics or certain ways of being that is acceptable to them and others that are not. Okay? So, not. Now, for instance, you grow up and your family, your collective consciousness decides that you will be a farmer. Everybody is a farmer, and you must be a farmer. So you are trained and you're educated in everything being a farmer. So as you then get all that energy, information, in vibration in, what happens then? You form a being. That being is then connected to the collective consciousness, and that collective consciousness then feeds that information into you, into your being, into your consciousness, and then you become that person. For some people, it's quite acceptable. They just do it. It's not. They don't question it. They don't say, I don't want to do this. They just fall in, and it happens. The great-grandfather was a farmer, the father was a farmer, the grandfather was a farmer, and so everybody is into farming, and that's just the way it is, and it's fine like that. But then you get the little maverick who decides that they don't want to be a farmer. So they want to be something else. So what happens then is a society will push them away, and they will become the black sheep. So they will be the unacceptable, and the one that does not fit into the collective, and they will find another way of being. So they will then go on, if they will either stay in the society and be the black sheep, or they will move away into a different collective consciousness, and where they can be who they are. right? So then they will connect into a different collective consciousness. That collective consciousness will then download into them, and they will then thrive in this other consciousness. Now, how do we shape that consciousness? What role do we play? It sounds like, it's all automatic. You don't have anything to do with this. However, there's two words that will shape your consciousness, that will shape your being, and those words are I am. I am. Those words are like triggers. That's the trigger that will trigger consciousness, that will trigger beingness into downloading that I amness into your consciousness, right? It is like if you saw the Matrix where the woman wants to fly a helicopter, and she flies in, she slots into the system, and she quickly learns how to fly a helicopter, and there she goes. That is the same principle, the same idea, where I amness is then downloaded into your consciousness, and you become that person. You get that beingness of that I amness. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, so now you can decide who you want to be by saying I am, because every time you say I am, whatever comes after it gets downloaded into your consciousness. Now, is that good for you or is that bad for you? It's neither good nor bad. It just is. It's not a form of punishment, judgment, or anything like that. That's the way the universe works. That is the way the divine energy works. It gives you free will to decide who you are, or who you will be. So now, interesting to say is I am that I am, meaning that I am that I am. What is that? You decide what that is. When you decide which that it is, then as you repeatedly saying I am, you can make I think they call it a document. That document tells you who you are being. And every time you say that, and it's not just with your mouth, but you feel it. If you feel it, you say it, you see it, feel, say, and see. If you do all of those things, three things together, then it activates that radio station in consciousness, and that will download it into your being. I hope that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so if you say I am that I am, and what is that, then you decide what that is. What are those things? And you can say I am kindness, I am love, I am joy, I am peace. Those are all higher consciousness, as we've seen in the other areas. And those beingness will then download into your beingness, into your consciousness. Okay? And you will begin to extend that beingness into you. However, if you've been living in lower consciousness and projecting fear and anger and grief and all those things at the world, and you say, I am this, I am that, and you don't feel it, and you can't see it, and you can't speak it with any kind of conviction within you, then you're wasting your time, because you have a lot of unconscious rules that are sitting down here, which are saying, no, you're not. Okay? So there is a lot of letting go, a lot of clearing out that needs to happen before you can say with any kind of conviction, I am that. And now that also comes in with the word faith. Faith is seeing what you can't see yet, and the evidence that it is real. Basically, that's what faith means. Now, if you live in like the lower states of consciousness, you don't have any faith because you don't have any vision. When you live in the higher states, you have vision, you can see, and then you can see what isn't there yet, and you can see the evidence. You can feel it, you can see it, you can think it, you can speak it. When all those faculties comes together, and you project or you extend that image into the world, it actually begins to download for you, and you become that person. And people will see it, and they will be attracted to that energy, that information, that vibration that you are extending into the world. That is why people's lives can sometimes change like that. When they get exposed, or when they enter into higher levels of consciousness, or the highest level, we take it going up the mountain. When you go up the mountain, then you begin to develop vision. You can see, because the higher you go, the more expansive the consciousness is, and the more expansive the consciousness is, the more it is receptive for your I am statements. So that is being. I hope you understand the basics of this. Now, what is happening in the world now is the thing called the creator's renaissance. Some call it the revolution, whatever they want to call it. So what is happening? And it's very interesting to notice this. You have certain talents, skills, and abilities. You're born with them, or you develop them at a very, very young age. The talents and skills are the way that the universe wants to experience itself through you. That's why you got the talents. Okay, when you practice the talents, you are creating. You're all the time creating, of course. From by saying that I am, you are creating that I amness, and that I amness is, of course, downloading into your being. So when you decide, make the choice to follow your talents, skills, and abilities, you become a true creator, right? Right. So you become a creator. Now, if you have a role in life, or you take a profession in life, or you take a job in life, and you just do it for the approval of the society, then you are still creating it, but you're making more than you're creating. You're making that thing happen. It is effort, it is labor, it is hang in there, it is just keep going, and for some people, they can keep going to a certain point, and then they give up. They just don't want to do it anymore because it doesn't actually help them to live the life of a creator. With you were made to be a creator. That's how you were made. Because you have talent, skills, and abilities that are natural to you, and when you practice them with an open heart and a brain that is in a harmony. In other words, you have a super alignment. You have three brains: your head, your heart, and your gut has all got brain cells. And when you align all three of these, then you actually extend amazing power into the world. We won't go into the diseases for now. All right. So now what's happening in the world is people are taking themselves out of the accepted ideas, accepted roles, and accepted ways of being in the world. They're removing themselves there because it is not natural to them. It is something that actually is life diminishing. It comes from lower consciousness. You have to compete, convince, or compare yourself constantly with other people so that you can be acceptable to that collective. And the moment you decide, I don't want to be part of that collective anymore, then what happens is you begin to disconnect from that collective. And then you can, and if you want to, then you can reconnect to a different consciousness, a different collective. And that's what's happening in the world. That's why you have the great resignation. That's why you have the creator renaissance. That's all happening at the same time now. It's escalating very rapidly because people want to be creators. They want to create something. If you are a true creator, you will understand that it is something exceptional. Say, for instance, you're a chef. You have two kinds of chefs. You have a chef that makes food. It is something that they learn to do. Technically, they can be fine and quite well. And then you have the person who is a creator. They create food. They create something that is for the benefit of others. When you're a maker, usually you're making it for yourself, for your own self-esteem, and so that you can look good in the compare, compete, and convince consciousness of the world. When you're a true creator, you stand out, and you will stand out because you are now vibrating at a different frequency as a creator. You can have the same dish made by a maker and the one creator, and you will taste the difference because the energy and the love that goes into that, the consciousness that goes into the food, actually changes the food. And that has been scientifically proven now. So When you become a creator of your own life, then a conscious creator, you can be an unconscious creator too. That is the compete, convince, and compare people who now I'm creating this so that I can look good. That's the motivation. Or I'm creating this so that I can be whoever I am, the best that I am, the best that I can be in the world, different way of being. This is just a short introduction into the idea of I amness, of beingness, of ontology. Who do you want to create? Who do you want to be? Who do you want to say, I am this, I am that, or whatever? How do you want to say, I am that I am? Who is that? You should decide that. Don't let other people decide for you who you are, because then you have to people please and you have to be whoever they tell you to be. And you can be that, but will it make you happy? Will it make you satisfied with life? Will it give you fulfillment? It's a good choice. An interesting question.